I think this talk is working. Good morning, fellow colleagues, Street Board, the Board of Governance members, and my fellow colleagues. Indeed, today is a very, very special day because I was told that today is the birthday of Lord Ganesha. So we have chosen a very, very blessed day to have this seminar session. And I hope we have all the blessings from this particular Lord Ganesha, who is a symbol of, they regard Lord Ganesha as a God who removes all obstacles. And we hope we get the blessings from this particular deity. Now, let me come directly to what we'll be looking at today. This session is actually divided into two. The first part will be handled by me, and the subsequent one will be by Mr. Wong. Now, we all understand there is a magnet in our heart, and that magnet attracts growth. And for this growth to materialize and to be sustained, we all must remain open to learning from others. And that is exactly why all of us are congregating in this room this morning with a vision to grow. Now, what I will be sharing with you in the next 30 minutes or so are some of the information and practices highlighted in the recent International Conference on Open and Innovative Education hosted by the Open University of Hong Kong. Now, there will be 3 pit stops in this morning's journey. We shall be looking at some of the careers of the future, the innovative approaches in making higher education more enticing and more appealing, and finally, the human element that is going to drive the entire process, which we will focus on the capacity building part. Now, we do not have a crystal ball to gaze into the future, but we can predict how technology will impact and transform our careers. What I will be showing in the next 6 or 7 slides are 72 possible careers that was shared by Professor Mark Sharples from the Open University of UK. Hopefully, these 72 careers will help to shed some light on the kind of courses or academic programs that we could start focusing apart from our engagement in the industry and community. Now, before I move on to these 72 careers, can I ask the simple question, do you think we are in one of these 72? Do you think we as educators, teachers, are in these 72 careers? If after scrolling the 6 or 7 slides, we don't find ourselves there, I think it's time for us to plan something else. Now, if you look at all this, I will not run through all these 72 careers, but only pinpoint on certain careers that we may need to look at. If you look at the S-streets, particularly the S-streets, this is actually where we are seeing information technology will be used to harvest, capture, sort all the information, the massive information available. And this is very important because the in thing right now is data mining, data analytics, big data. And this is slowly gaining its momentum in the education sector. This particular data mining or data analytics is going to bring education to a whole new level. Why is it bringing education, or how can it bring education level to a whole new level? Because it's creating opportunities for us to understand the needs of individual students. Meaning we would be able to personalize the teaching and learning in future. But there are a lot of work that needs to be done. The next slide, of course, if you look at all this, they are broken down into different disciplines. You will be able to see healthcare, technology, manufacturing, etc. Now here, police officer. Now, when I highlight this police officer, I'm not trying to say that in future, the law enforcement will resemble the Robocop that we see in the movie. Why I'm raising this? Because we've got to look at developing technological infrastructure and software which is useful in surveillance, data management techniques, and investigative tools. This is getting more and more important, particularly with the mushrooming of the cybercrime. The next one is what I would like to highlight is the robot counselor. Now here, it is not about creating counselor to counsel the robot, no. Because in future, robot will play a greater part in providing home care and services. They will be like servants or caregivers. So this is where we have to produce counselor, especially we have DA counseling. In 10 or 20 years' time, it may lead to this, where the counselor will need to identify the needs and lifestyle of those who want to make a wise decision to purchase the kind of robot to serve in the household. This is very important because if you purchase or if you buy the wrong robot, this is going to create family conflicts. For example, you want a maid who is young and elegant, but your wife may not want it. Alright, so this is where the counselor will come in to counsel whoever would like to purchase these robots. So these are the kind of careers we are beginning to see that they are slowly creeping up. Alright? Now the next one, I think this is very comforting because it shows that we actually offer the right programs. Early childhood education in particular. And why is this important? Because we are seeing increasing number of parents, working parents, has increased tremendously. So this is where early childhood educator will become very, very relevant in the future. And these are some of the other careers that you can see in future, but I will not go through each and every one of them. But if you want to know the link, then I'll provide you the link where you can actually see what these people would do in probably 2030 or 2040.
Lawyers still needed.
Lawyers. Oh my God.
Librarian. Who's the librarian?
So this is another one. If you run through very quickly, residence manager, agile supply chain worker, accountant is still relevant. When we look at these careers, I think we need to have these three things in mind. We must look at, or we must plan a career whereby the robots would not be able to do it, number one. Number two, where robots would not be able to create values. For example, teachers, robot would not be able to do that. Alright? Robots would not be able to dance. Choreographer is another career of the future. So this is the sum of it. Teacher. So we are still.
Don't worry about your jobs.
Alright.
We are still needed.
Then the other one that is coming up is the end-of-life therapies. The aging population is growing. In the past, we heard about people saying, do you want a retirement plan? Now, this is going to be another plan that we need to look at. The last phases of our life in this world, how do we handle the very last phase of our life? So this is where end-of-life therapies will be one of the future careers, one of the careers in the future. Alright, this is another one.
Urban planner still.
Urban plan. we still have this dancer, which I think the robot will not be able to do. You cannot just see them fly on the sky, in the sky. So right now, all of us in this room are fully aware how the future education will look like. It's going to be like this. Number one, we are all very clear it's going to be student-centered. We have been proclaiming this for ages. It's no longer teacher-centered. Number two is going to be a hybrid of online and in-person classes. We must remember this fact that we are all humans. We will still want to be connected emotionally. Now, from the meetings that we have with international experts as well as local experts or people in the local institution, they did mention, even though that we offer programs through online, students will still want to see the tutors or the lectures. But seeing here doesn't mean it has to be physical. It can be conducted through virtual. Right? So this is one point that we need to take note. Even though we are going online, we must have this human touch element. And the last part of our future education is we will have to allow people to accumulate credits at their own time and pace. So when we look at future education, these three things must be the pillar in us forming the learning activities. Here, we are also very familiar with this classroom phenomenon, and this phenomenon is changing the landscape of education tremendously. Now, you will realize that the bulk of learning is here. The bulk of learning is over here, and it's no longer this. So, if the bulk of learning is occurring away from the classroom setting, this is where we need to look at learning designs. Now, what I'm presenting here is actually a compilation on the findings and research that some of the participants in the international conference recently presented. Now, they mentioned that we have to ensure that we have a proper learning designs. The question now is, what is actually learning design? Learning design is about creating a learning environment. Creating a learning environment and this covers three phases, three important aspects. Number one, the content design and development. Number two, the implementation and delivery. And the third one is the assessment design. So these three will constitute a formidable learning design. So it is timely for the institution to revisit or to re-examine whatever support system that we have and make sure it caters to the future education or to the needs of the future education. This is basically a research done by a few participants and the references are depicted below. If you see this very clearly, when the learning design has a very significant effect on the student satisfaction, student retention, student success. We have done so much studies on this student satisfaction, student retention, student success. We all have to fall back onto this learning design. Therefore, the question now is, how do we innovate learning designs to make education more enticing? One of the stimulants that will make education more open and innovative is technology. We know perfectly well that technology has changed the way we live and the way we learn. In this context, we have to enter the era of digital uplift. I repeat, it's not digital, but digital uplift. we have to gradually move into app learning, mobile learning. Today, over 6 billion people have access to a connected mobile device. Even now in this room, I'm sure some of you are logging into the internet using your mobile. No, don't have to be sorry, it's alright. So,
Checking my ring.
over the 6 billion people that have access to a connected mobile device, they have done a study. For every one person who accesses the internet from a computer, 2 will do so from a mobile device. This is the reason why we really need to look at delivering our education through learning. The other one, which is social learning. This is also one of the most recent buzzwords in the learning industry. Many institutions now are using the social media platform like Twitter, Facebook, blog, wiki to supplement its learning management system. I repeat, to supplement. It is not taking over the LMS, the learning management system. Next, the innovation, now we'll look at the videos. And you all, colleagues in Wawasa will be aware that recently we have developed an SOP and SOP video recording of tutorials. And that is indeed timely. Now, videos are widely used in flipped classrooms. Why? Because students can actually watch the videos over and over again. And the class time, the actual tutorial class time, can be used for active learning. Therefore, when we develop videos, it is important, I repeat, to think about the length, the design, and finally, the supplemental action after watching the video. And I think currently we may not have closed this loop, the supplemental action that comes after watching the video. Alright? So moving on to the other aspects of innovation. Now, to create a mind-blowing learning experience, we must create a multimedia-rich learning environment. What are these? Allow me to provide some examples. We must convert our PPT, PowerPoint content. If you ever have any PowerPoint slides in the learning management system or Watson, we must convert it into an interactive learning objects. Now, if you assess the PowerPoint that I'm presenting here, I will fail miserably for not being very effective. There are more things that can be done to enhance the PPT slides. So this is where the course coordinator, ETP, will come in to ensure that whatever PowerPoint slides that you upload, which I think all of these CCs would have PowerPoint slides in the learning management system. The other one is our PDF materials. And I trust that Grace and the team are actually looking at enhancing this PDF version to become more interactive and rich graphics. Audio podcasts is another aspect. Now, these two particular augmented reality, AR and VR, these two excitements in the digital world is also gaining popularity, not recently, for many, many years. Now, you may ask, what is the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality? In simple layman's terms, in AR, students are immersed into an alternative world with digital images. Let me give you one example. With AR, augmented reality, we can swim with sharks in a coral reef in the ocean. But this is not in the literal sense. In the literal sense, we would have been eaten and torn apart by sharks. But in augmented reality, we can do so. The other thing that we can explore using AR is public lectures. you can upload these public lectures to Watch and Learn, and they can use AR to access it. So when they use AR to access it, it is as if they are in the lecture hall, listening to the public lecture. VR, virtual reality, is actually bridging the gap between the virtual and physical world. And it uses the existing environment and overlays with new information on top of it. Probably for you to understand, let me give you a simple analogy. With VR, we can watch a shark leaping out of your business card, your books or papers. This is VR. Alright? Now, as Confucius has once mentioned, I hear, I forget. I see, I believe. So I'm going to show you two very short video clips on AR, augmented reality, and virtual reality. I believe some of us in this room are very, very familiar with AR and VR.
Beyond efficiency, beyond computing power, beyond just connecting devices, and think about connecting people.
This is virtual reality.
Number one, there's an incredible physicality to this. It's not just watching video on a rectangle, on a wall, or even on your handheld phone. You know in your head that you can walk anywhere in your room, but your body is telling you, no, you can't. Your knees start to buckle, you start to shake because it's such a physical experience.
What Jeremy Benson is doing in San Francisco, what they're doing there, which I think would provide a lot of insight in what others may do down the road, is they're creating a virtual world where I'm particularly interested in whether or not people being in this environment and engaging with this environment, witnessing, having the ability to tour, will have an impact on their behavior. In particular, they created sort of an experience around ocean acidification. You can read about it, you can talk about it with others, you can project. But having the opportunity to walk the shore and see the impact on the environment of what's happening today. This is, I think, an example that is very clear that could suggest areas of how we might use these type of experiences in education.
To really create new learning experiences.
There's consumer devices coming out in the market very soon, which means that they'll be available, affordable, and lots of us can play with them on the college campus in a very different settings, in the classroom, outside the classroom. Now in virtual reality, we can start thinking about bringing the students to the virtual supplier, having a story, having a conversation that can transcend the classroom, the campus, connect globally.
We can't be doing PowerPoint presentations for this. It's already boring enough in so many cases, and we're going to have to move on from that. And we can't just say, oh, the virtual world is over here or something else. We're just going to deal with the real world because our students are going to be growing up in a world where they're going to say, I need the skills, I need the knowledge to be able to navigate both the real world and the virtual environment. It's already affecting the movie industry. So people are sitting around and going, how are we going to create movies in this environment? Because you can't use the standard techniques. The standard techniques, the director, the cinematographer, everyone guided you through the experience. And all of a sudden, you're going to, as a viewer, have control over that experience. And there's going to have to be a new language of film, a new language for how, sort of shaping the viewer experience on this. And, there's been different ways. I mean, Chris Mel in the Clouds of a Secret does a wonderful thing of dropping you into almost like scenes, but then taking you to the other scenes. So you don't aimlessly walk around the refugee camp because you're not going to do VR as a traditional film. You're going to have to come up with something completely different. And I think as this begins to come into higher education, it really is. It's coming right now, particularly next year as consumer devices come out. We're going to have to think very carefully about what kind of media do we do? Do we produce? What kind of media do we have our students watch? use.
So I hope with that short video clip, it would actually open up our eyes on the possibilities of using AR or VR, particularly more so, especially for our OCL students. And the other aspect on this innovation is gamification. Gamification is about using game principles in the field of education. It introduces concepts like badges, levels, achievements, and game points. The younger learners will always prefer this mode of learning. So if you are moving forward, we would now need to strategize and look at how you can implement this gamification into the delivery of OCL classes. And of course, the other aspect that we can look at is innovate our assessment system by injecting online assessment elements. This is more for the coursework-based assessment. But eventually, we will also need to look at the conduct of final examination through online. But this is not going to be an overnight thing. There are a lot of other issues, the credibility issues, the integrity issues, and the monitoring and implementation part. So the question now is machines, tools, applications, processes, and procedures will remain static if there is no human intervention. Human plays an important role in injecting life on this. And for this very reason, we must place great emphasis on the capacity building, not only for the academic staff, but for all the operations staff. Example, people in the ITS department, people in the educational technology. If we want to make education more innovative, we must ensure there is a proper plan for capacity building. And it's not only once, but it is a continuous capacity building exercise. Now, what I'm showing this is actually a practice practiced by University of New South Wales. This is actually meant for the academic staff. All academic staff who are employed in the university would have to go through this progression halfway. Okay? And they have actually mentioned that any academic staff that they employ, they must have at least a foundation of university, at least a certificate on learning and teaching. And to share with you, I think the branch campus of University of Nottingham and Monash, they actually made this mandatory, compulsory. Whoever that I employ as academic staff, I must ensure that you have the basic minimum of teaching and learning pedagogies. Alright? And this has been raised by some of the panel assessors and QA when they come from program accreditation and maintenance audit. They notice that some of our CCs are from the industry. So they raise this question, how can this CC monitor the tutors when the CCs do not understand the learning pedagogies? But of course, we always will counter back by saying, before they actually handle a class, we do provide training. And these CCs are mentored by a senior academician. Alright, so maybe it is timely also for us to get this type of aspect. Now the subsequent slide here, or the slide here shows 3 forms of higher education. On the furthest left is enhanced, new and sustainable education. We now have to assess and ask ourselves, are we in any of these 3? Or are we in all of these 3? Or are we not in any one of these? If we are not in any one of these, we really need to pray very, very hard today. Alright? Look at the new education. it talks about learning designs, learning analytics, social network learning, and dynamic assessment. These are the 4 aspects that we would probably need to enhance in our current system. This one is to summarize the very purpose, the purpose of our very existence as a university. We exist to offer programs that lead to academic qualification. We offer courses for professional development. We offer courses for personal enrichment. Whatever learning activities that we design will ultimately reach these 3 particular destinations. I couldn't think of any other thing. If you have any other reasons for our existence, please do indicate. And lastly, the vision of becoming open and innovative can only be realized if we are supported by adequate resources and funding, without which we will still remain stagnant. With that, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andy. I think it's a very good presentation. I learned a lot. But before I invite Mr. Wong, let me make 3 very quick remarks. I think you all feel very comfortable that teacher is a assured career of the future. I couldn't find the word politician. So I'm glad I had the vision to retire 4 years ago. So God bless those who are still in that business. Anyway, 72 careers, my second point, actually reminded me of the story of the Monkey King, the legend of the Monkey King. As some of you know, in the legend of the Monkey King can actually transform himself 72 changes. He has got 72 skills, super skills, okay, to transform, to handle any circumstances. So I think perhaps, when the author wrote about the Monkey King or the journey to the West, he already had, at that time, maybe 1,000 years ago, the vision of the future, that you really have to be like a monkey, okay? Then finally, I think I just want to say that, let's give further thoughts, from Andy's presentation as to where we are in WOU today and the kind of work that we really need to do, and we can't do it unless we have very good teamwork. Okay, thank you. So invite Mr. Wong.